Hello everyone and welcome to our new format in the case of the interviews. I'm so glad to have Jack Barnett as the VP at Business Development in Fortunet. Today we will speak a lot, as previously, about the acquiring. I would like to go deeper into this topic because I guess it's so fresh in the case of the years. It's like half a year, right? We just spent, no, more, 1 year and a half. 1 year and a half. We spent in the case of this hot market and that is still growing. And I would like to start maybe from some insights from your executive part. You spend a lot, I guess. Thank you for visiting us in Ukraine, first. I guess that is one of the main steps, why you're here. Could you please tell us more about that?
Yeah, good to be here. Thanks for having me. So I'm here in Kiev because there's just a great seller community here, and there's folks like you, and it's great to be able to meet people kind of in person, especially after this, last year or so.
Yeah, right.
But it's been pretty crazy thinking about the Amazon M&A market and how it's changed in the last, year and a half, 2 years. I've been in it over 2 years now, starting back in 2019, and that was really, such a nascent market. So early in 2019, just 2 or 3 acquirers, people doing some initial deals, not much funding.
How did you catch that? Because for me, that is the main question. I guess 2 years ago, no one didn't realize that could work, Nobody didn't think about that you are working inside the Amazon, you're growing your business for getting some insights, for selling your business in half a year. How did you get there? Because for me, that is the main question.
Yeah, it was super random. So I guess a little background, I had previously known a bunch of Amazon sellers. I had been living abroad, doing the kind of digital nomad lifestyle, and I knew a lot of Amazon sellers that were really doing it for kind of a lifestyle type of job or business, 4-hour work week or whatever. So I had known a lot of Amazon sellers and service providers previously. I had done some software for e-commerce, doing sales, business development. So I'd kind of been around the space, but never a seller or never directly involved. But I was living in the Philippines. I was at a bar one night and I met the CEO of one of the early aggregators. Super random.
From the top one?
Not the one that everybody's heard of, unfortunately. But at the time there was 3 aggregators. One of them has since failed. They kind of just started and screwed up. One of them everybody's heard about and they're doing crazy good. And another one has kind of just gone slow and steady. Those are the guys that I met in the Philippines. I just immediately loved the idea of it because I knew that the market was really kind of fragmented. There was a lot of small businesses, these folks that had kind of just started by just the lifestyle, right? They weren't really optimizing their businesses, yet there was all this growth happening on Amazon.
Right.
So I thought, okay, this could be an interesting kind of career pivot for myself. I just saw some of the kind of macro trends of the industry, and really what was most appealing at the time was these businesses were growing super fast, the Amazon brands, and you're able to acquire them for what now looks like very inexpensive valuations. At the time, it was 2 to 3 times your last 12 months profit. If a business is growing 50, 100% a year, you're going to make your money back very quickly and much more. So I saw those kind of fundamentals and I just thought, okay, this could be an interesting, new kind of career path for me. And that's how I got started. But yeah, I just met this guy at a bar in Manila smoking cigars and drinking whiskey, and he hired me. And
this story starts,
And then it started, So I was with this one aggregator for a few months, and then I met another aggregator who went on to raise a couple $100 million and acquired a bunch of businesses, and I was their first hire back in December 2019. So spent about over a year on the buy side, did about 15 acquisitions, and then switched over to Fortunet in February. It's been quite a journey,
So you spend a time working on different sites, right?
Yeah.
From the acquirers right now, you understand and you feel this process. I will tell that as a sharks, and the another one from the client, I guess you could feel that. You could absolutely right now provide them with the right experience on what they expect to get and prepare them correctly, right?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely the core of what I do, what Fortunet does, is kind of leveling the playing field. Amazon sellers are amazing at selling, right, on Amazon. They're I don't think they could. I don't think the aggregators or the acquirers can match that, and that's why they're buying the businesses instead of launching their own brands. At the same time, most Amazon sellers I know, and I know a lot now, they have not sold a business before. They don't really know about private equity or mergers and acquisitions, and they're going up against these folks who know a lot about it. There's a lot of Columbia, Harvard, Stanford MBAs out there that are, all they do is look for good deals, and they look for good prices on good deals. So we think at Fortunet, you really have to level the playing field. If you're going up against a pro at M&A, you need to have that level of expertise on your side for negotiations, for financial analysis, for telling the narrative of your brand.
Maybe strategy, yes?
Strategy, absolutely. Thinking about like how does intellectual property affect your valuation? Thinking about tax consequences, because when you exit a brand, one of the biggest effects for how much you get in your pocket and your bank is going to be taxes. So looking at those issues as you prepare for a sale, and then also during a sale process, how do you maximize that end result, the valuation, the deal structure.
I just catch an idea that we have right now, the last update from the market pools, that more than 70 acquirers on the market. They have raised like more than 100 million of the funds, for growing and buying the businesses. What do you expect? That is like the beginning, or that is like part of the Bible? We will on the beginning, we will see that we have still like 5 main acquirers, and they will just work inside the market, and then Amazon will buy all these acquirers,
Yeah, we'll see about that. Well, so I think there's probably more than 70 that are active. There's a lot of acquirers that might be very public about raising money, but I think there's some that are maybe smaller groups that aren't being public. There's also different types of buyers like private equity or family offices that are increasingly interested in the same kind of business model as the aggregators. So I think the number of acquirers is actually more than 70 at this point, and there's more capital in there than people might think, which is crazy because now it's like 7 billion has been raised collectively. But it's been interesting seeing the market kind of evolve. I think you now have seen a lot of aggregators that have been operating 6, 12 months, not a long time, but they're making acquisitions. They're kind of getting experienced and getting their feet wet. They're making mistakes. I think all the aggregators will tell you, even the top ones now, that they made mistakes when they first started. It's not as easy as some people might think.
There is like a short period of time. There's like only up to 2 years, and they had a great journey, I guess, for now. And we see that we have a lot of new acquirers. They perform like much better than previously, like the first acquirers in the beginning. And I like the idea how they filter the categories of brands that they would like to acquire, because it's not like just getting like all of them. They do not like throw all the deals around. They start working aggressively in the case of the things that they really want. So as previously they work in the case of iGas, in the case of the income traffic, to their exactly like with the proposals, but now they provide you with the proposals. Like they do a lot of outreach. So what do you think? What should be next? I mean, what should Amazon sellers right now be prepared for selling the business, and do that, or wait and scale it till the few years?
Sure. It's a tough question. I think it's always a personal question. Certainly the market right now is super hot, and it's a great time to sell if you're thinking of selling. But a lot of it is personal in the sense that depends where you are on your journey as a brand. A lot of M&A is about timing. So, you want to sell while you're growing, and the faster you grow, generally the better of a valuation you're going to get. But you also don't want to sell too early in that growth curve because you might leave money on the table. So there's always that kind of individual personal calculation when you think about what's the best time to sell. Certainly if you're ready to sell and the business is prepared and the finances are good and you're growing and you're growing healthily, then I think now's a great time to sell. Certainly we see a lot of runway, and we think that this is going to last probably at least a couple more years, just because of how much money is involved. And there's a lot of more businesses to be acquired. But at the same time, you're probably seeing the market mature a little bit right now with acquirers becoming more specialized, like you said, in terms of categories. I think a lot of the acquirers who were looking at smaller deals a year ago, $1 million deal or $500,000 deal, now that they've acquired 10, 20 businesses, maybe they're focusing on larger deals.
So in the case of these sellers, we had a lot of questions about that. We perform a lot of audits, and they ask the same question: what things should you prepare to be ready, like to sell their business? Is that the right time to do? What things should you improve? What will be like your main recommendations? I knew that you perform a lot of things.
Yeah.
And what will be the main?
Yeah, sure. I think we talk to a lot of buyers, of course. We work with almost all of the main buyers, although we just represent sellers exclusively. One of the top things that we see that buyers really value is intellectual property. So how can you get additional IP to help protect your brand? And that probably helps with selling a lot of the time as well. So like design patents as necessary or as available. Buyers really love that. I think when I think about what do buyers really love, and it's growth. So the faster you're growing, the more
the growth that you see and catch right now, or like your growth, like in the potential in case of the 40% strategies.
So both, really, actually, it's both. They want a business that's growing like crazy and has the opportunity to grow even further. So. But the kind of growth that you have matters as well. So when I was a buyer, you looked at a lot of deals, you'd see situations where the top line sales and profit is growing, but then when you dig in perhaps by ASIN or by market, you notice that one of the top ASINs maybe is slowing down growth and new products are taking that growth up. Or you might say, okay, the USA is starting to go down, but UK and Germany are growing fast. So it looks like the business is growing, but the core market is maybe declining. So that's kind of the intricacies that are important. So I always tell folks, like, yes, continue growing, expand internationally if that's the move you want to do and you think makes sense, but don't neglect your core markets or your core products. The buyers want to see stability with those. So that's, I think, one of the biggest things I see.
But the main focus that should be on Amazon in the case of the sales, I mean, because a lot of sellers and acquirers, they speaking a lot about the main idea of like, okay, you have a sales, you have a growth like year to year, but what about your external traffic? What about the websites? And they don't want to like see the diversification. They don't want to see that you have a lot of sales out of the Amazon and Amazon. What about that? How to work with that? Should that be like the strategy for right now and growing your like potential out of the Amazon, or the main focus should be like exactly there?
From an acquisition standpoint, I'd say it's probably on Amazon, but I think if you're an owner of an e-commerce business, there's a lot of good reasons to diversify your channels. So you're not totally relying on Amazon. It's interesting, I think a couple of years ago, a multi-channel e-commerce business was probably more valuable than a pure play Amazon business. I think it's changed because the aggregators, their thesis is around Amazon, and they want companies that have a really strong focus on that.
Like the investments, you mean, right?
Yeah.
So for them, that is like the roadmap that if you don't have and your main focus on Amazon sales, they will have a chance to do them by themselves, these diversification.
That also, but I think they want to make sure that they see Amazon as the future of e-commerce, and it's already 50%, and I think the aggregators believe that that's going to continue to grow as a share of the market. They certainly want to see like other opportunities for expansion, like Walmart.com or Shopify, but I think they want products that are demonstrated, capable and growing on Amazon. So don't neglect Amazon at the expense of Walmart, for example.
Yeah, I like that, because a lot of acquirers, they just ask us the same question when we perform the audit for them, for the brands that they would like to acquire, and they already have, like, what we could do, like, what is the next steps, And we catch this idea that we have a brands that already they had a good story out of the Amazon, they have a good amount of the sales, but they do not, like, want them, like the evaluation of these brands like stay the same as like with or without the external traffic, and when you provide them with the strategy for them, they're like, okay, that could work, we like that, we will continue working on that. And so for me, that is like, why it's so like I just understand that they are building this in-house approach. For them, it's like the part of their taking investments on that.